All right, and we're back. As you guys can see, we have our special guest, Koolaid George. Let's give this man a round of applause for the work he's done. Come on now. All right, so before we go into, talking about the great things you've been doing, can I ask you something? I want to be honest with you. I got to be honest. I got to start with honesty. Your name, I love the name because it's very easy to remember. But as a man who, it doesn't bother me. I just hope that a white person didn't give you this name. I'm gonna tell you why.
Right out the gate.
I gotta talk like this because you know how they try to make us be what they want us to be. You know what I'm saying? And be a nigga love Kool-Aid and all the other shit. That should have me tight. So, please give us the real reason how you got your name, just so anybody who thinks like me has a cool understanding of how your name actually came about, because I don't want to be like this, I don't want to say this, but, I don't want it to be like nigga George, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, please explain the name.
So, basically, the name, I gave myself the name. I grew up drinking Kool-Aid as a kid. Like, that was, like, my shit, my go-to. Like, I would drink all the flavors, like, fucking cherry, grape, fucking blue raspberry, like, pick a flavor, I would drink it. I was a fan. So like when I was on like social media, I was like, yo, I need some shit I can like easily remember. And like at first I was just gonna use like my government name, like first, last name, but like that shit got taken by like a account that wasn't even active. So like I just really needed to think of a name. So like I was like, yo, I drink Kool-Aid, and like all my homies know I drink Kool-Aid, and my name is George. So like I just put the two together.
Okay.
And like I think even like my thinking behind it was like, yo, I need some shit so like if I forget what my username is, I can like easily remember to like log in.
Mm-hmm.
And then like at first I was like gonna change it, but like it just kind of stuck, and like people around the city would like be like, oh, like Kool-Aid, and then like even like I was trying to change it as like recent as like 2020, but then it was shit where I was getting gigs just because like even if people couldn't remember like my first or last name, be like, oh, who's that Kool-Aid kid? And like if you go into like social media and like type up Kool-Aid, like eventually like you would stumble upon like Koolaid George. So like I guess I'm just like stuck with that name for like the end of time.
Okay, now let me tell you something. It's a genius name, because as much as white people say they're not racist, they sometimes are, and they love to see a nigga be a nigga. They love that shit. So I love that you making money off these motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying?
Hey man,
wearing it on the sleeve.
You know what I'm saying, bro?
Yo, it's really on some innocent shit. Like,
no, I know.
My name's George.
I
like
know it's
Kool-Aid,
innocent, but they don't look at it like that.
Hey, if they putting money in my pockets,
that's what I'm saying.
I'm like, I'm not selling out. It's like those are my troops. You know what I'm saying?
Let me get this man a round of applause for that shit. Let me get this man a round of applause.
It'd be one thing if like I just didn't like Kool-Aid or like didn't drink it, but like those are my troops. Like now I gotta chill out because like the blood sugar and diabetes and shit. So I gotta chill. So like I might have it like once in a blue moon, you know what I mean? I'll drink and I'm like, yo, like it's just culture, you know what I'm saying? But like shout out to Kool-Aid, shout out to me being George. Like word.
It's got the credibility.
So as two guys, we do a show every week, and hold on. You gotta take that from me real quick. Just look at it real quick. I got you. No, I can't show that. I can't show that. Yeah, I can't show that. I forgot. But as two black dudes that been trying to come up with the great nicknames. If you watch our show enough, watch it back, Davison. If you watch our show enough, we've been trying to figure out our nicknames for God knows how long.
I've got mine. People just forget it.
So here are our nicknames. Tell me if you like them, and if you don't, if you have any ideas for nicknames that will stick, you're more than welcome to throw it in the pot, because we've been trying for a while. So we have my man Blade here.
What's up?
Do you know why his name is Blade?
I actually do not know why.
Do you want to explain?
Should I explain it?
Yeah, 100%.
All right, hold on. All right, so yeah, blades, right? When you think about them, blades are really sharp because they cut people. But at the same time, they're also really smooth, you know what I'm saying? So like, I'm sharp and smooth, bro.
Yo, with the context behind it, I get it. Honestly, anytime I would see it, because I think that was like your Twitter like name at one point.
It currently is.
Yeah, it is, right? Name. So like, I would always think of like the movie, like the Marvel movie, like Blade. So like I was like, and like I fuck with Blade, so like I was like, oh, like that's cool, you know, blades, you know what I'm saying? It's like I fuck with it.
Okay, so from what you know about Rayvon, what would be your initial nickname for what you would give him if you just give him a nickname?
Damn.
I'm putting you on the spot.
I say that's a tough question.
Man.
We got to try it out, man. This is a creative guy right here. You got to figure it out.
Yo, honestly, it's not a good sounding nickname. I would just say wild card because like I never know what's going on in this nigga's brain.
My nigga, we might have to call you
Like yo, like even like yo, there be some shit Rayvon will do, and I'm like, yo, Rayvon, like why? You know what I'm saying? But it's like I love him. That's my dog. Like he'll just do some shit where I'm like, yo, no sane nigga would ever do or think of or say. But it's like I fuck with him because like he just like whatever comes to mind, he just does it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so on the other hand, I have a nickname as well. My nickname, I've changed multiple times. My nickname was Love, but then Diddy took that over quickly.
That nigga takes a lot of stuff.
So then I'm like, I mean, he didn't take it from me. You know, I ain't gonna say he took it from me, but I ain't gonna walk around saying Love when everyone's like, oh, you took it from Diddy. I'm like, all right, whatever. Then I know, damn it, right? So then I had to change it up. Then my boy Davidson comes sometimes. He calls me. He sometimes. And he doesn't realize he says this all the time. But he calls me a wizard. He said, this guy's a wizard. And then I realized, I mean, my name is Harry. And Harry Potter also was a wizard. So I said, the Wiz. That's what it is.
Keep it. I like it. Cause yo, even like hearing y'all do the podcast, like before I came on, I was like, yo, this guy here got a weird words, you know what I'm saying? Like they just going on tangents, and like I know y'all have done podcasts in the past, but like just seeing this shit in person, I was like, yo, it's like Harry. You know what I'm saying? So both y'all nicknames, keep it. Like they're Koolaid George approved. I'm a fan. I support it.
Man, we going around and following. Come on now. It's very spicy.
You gotta get a real life like Koolaid George stamp of approval.
Damn right.
And I actually got you a hot Instagram caption for one of your next fit pics. Now that I know what your real name is, but I'll save it like that when the people see the caption. They don't know.
Man, I love fit pics personally, man. I'm a fan.
All right, well, okay.
I'm also a fan. I was just mad earlier. I was just so mad. But nah, fit pics are actually pretty hot.
Nah, because I was like, yo, Rayvon, you coming at me, bro? Like, I love fit pics because, like, sometimes on my IG, I'm like, yo, I can't just post, like, serious artwork. Like, I gotta get fits off, you know what I mean? Like,
see,
I have fun. I'm a real human.
See, I know we're going on a little bit of tangent, but I love the tangent that we're going on. Fit pics. Who takes them for you? Because I feel like I've been struggling on finding who's the right person to take these fit pics for me.
I'm gonna be honest. That's pretty much why I don't take mine no more. I leave the house. I'm pretty much home alone by the time I'm leaving, and I get to work. When I have a coworker take a pic of me at the office.
You know, I wish I could take my own picture.
Yo, you low key can, like, if you have like the self timer on the phone,
or a mirror, I guess.
You know.
Damn, but I feel like a shorty doing all that joint. That's a lot of work.
Nah, but if the fit's hard, you know, by any means necessary, you know.
All right, so who Rayvon and George, who takes you guys fit pics when you guys do get them approved?
I haven't had a fit pic taken in about 2 years.
Okay.
And when I did, it was just one of my close friends, like one of my boys who's usually at the event with you, like, you know, like he got to be at the function with you type shit.
And is he energetic when he takes the pictures, or is he just like, all right, whatever, let me take the picture real quick?
Oh no, I have a friend who takes it pretty seriously. I'll shout him out, my friend France.
Okay.
When he takes a picture, he likes a good picture for himself, so he'll really like make sure he's trying to get your angles and shit like that.
Okay. And George, yourself?
And then I feel like for me, fit pics, I honestly will let anybody take my picture.
Okay.
Like if I'm like wearing a fit that's like worthy of a fit pic, for me, I'm like, yo, I gotta get this on IG. I gotta get this on Twitter. So like, I've had like my mom take my fit pic. I've had like friends, cousins, like even like mutuals that I just met on like that day. I'm like, yo, like get a flick of me, please. Because like, I don't know, I fuck with fit pics. Like, I feel like for me, it's like if I'm wearing something that I like, I'm like, one, I need my homies to see it, but also need shorties to see it, you know? Like,
You ain't lying.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's like the sole purpose of like fit pics, for like self-enjoyment, but like also like shorties or like ladies, fellas, or like whoever you're into is like, you're trying to let people like see you look good, you know?
Yo, now you're bringing me on a tangent.
Let's
I got
get
some
it.
shit to be mad about.
This is
I
why
got
we
some
do
shit
this
to be
show.
mad about. I low-key did some shit like this for the last like almost 2.5 weeks here at work. So for the past like 2-3 weeks here, I've been wearing only Carhartt shirts.
I've noticed that.
I've noticed single day.
They're great shirts.
I've no bullshit noticed it
They're
every
great.
time.
But like not even just like the same 3 in rotation. Like it's been a different single shirt every single time.
That's fire.
This is a fact.
And only person who's noticed is Harry. And so
that's why he's the wizard.
Validation.
That's why they call him Wiz.
So much self-validation and all this bullshit that we always preach. We all know that we want, you know, like outside validation. What else are we doing this shit for? And I did all this work for the hoes to notice, and it was Harry. Of all people, it was Harry. You don't know how
Harry not a hoe, but that's your homie. You're dog acknowledging it. You know what I'm saying? Like your homies are like, yo, Rayvon got the fit off. He's looking flea. Like what? You know what I'm saying?
Rayvon looks like he do construction.
But if you haven't noticed either, I've been very consistent on trying to wear homegrown brands.
Very fair.
Like right now, I am wearing Pilot Original right now, of course. I wore Pilot Original before.
Love to all my niggas.
I wore Chop Life all the time. I wore a Chop Life hoodie yesterday.
Shout out to Chop Life.
I do everything I can. So if you guys have brands, bring them through. And you know what I'm saying? Like, we got some other things coming too. I'll just leave it at that. Woo. But yeah, I've been trying my best. So, all right, let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to, cause I felt like that was a beautiful conversation.
You keep taking me on tangents, but
all right, so George, let's start from the beginning of the journey here with you. Being in the space. First off, let the people know exactly what you do.
I was gonna say, who are you?
I am a photographer. Born and raised in Worcester, still based in Worcester, and yeah, take pictures.
Okay. What made you start taking pictures?
So growing up, I feel like I didn't have any like artistic like passion or excitement. Like I feel like I used to like read like a bunch of magazines as a kid. So like I would read like Sports Illustrated, Vogue, LW with like my mom and dad, and like I was like always looking at pictures at like a young age, but like I didn't necessarily express it. Like I didn't know that like I wanted to take pictures. So like it wasn't until I was like 18, 19, like I had like some homies that I went to high school with, and like at the time, this was like 2014, 2013, like they're just posting like pictures with like their cameras, and like it wasn't like a crazy camera setup, but compared to what everybody else was posting with, like Blackberries and Androids and like iPhone 4S, like it looked like mad professional. Like I remember like being in like DMs like, yo, bro, like I want pictures like that. Like I'm trying to look cool too. So like I remember we were like hanging out at like the McDonald's parking lot over by like Grafton Street, just like fucking around with like our entry-level camera, and like we were like driving all over like Worcester, downtown, Burncoat, everywhere, and like I just got hooked. I was like, yo, like this shit's mad fun. Like we're throwing up signs and like fucking smiling cheese and trying to get fits off, and like it just felt like mad fun. Like I had like a adrenaline rush, and I was like, yo, from like that day on, I was like, I like taking pictures. Like I liked how it made me feel, and like I like seeing like my friends happy when I had a camera. So like I think it was like until I actually like picked it up, I didn't know that I liked it. Like my mom and dad would make me take like family photos. Like I'd be like the designated like family photographer. I used to throw like temper tantrums. I was like, no, like I don't want to do this. Like I want to be with my friends. I want to run around like little kid shit, right?
Yeah.
So like I didn't know up until like 19 that like I even liked photography, but like I knew like subconsciously like I was like doing all the foundational work. Like I'd be reading like sneaker magazines, fashion shit, or like even watching like America's Next Top Model with like my mom. That was like our bonding
Listen,
thing.
man, I did the same thing, so yeah, ain't
like,
no shame with that.
Yo, and like I was watching, I was like, yo, shout out to Tyra and like all the models, like they're all cute, you know what I'm saying? And like
Even all them too.
it was shit where I was like picking up like all of like the gems from like watching that or reading magazines, but like until I actually picked up a camera, I didn't realize it. And then like as soon as I picked it up, like my brain was pulling all these references from like teenage and childhood years, and like it just kind of turned into what it turned into right now.
Word.
It's always funny because like I've never actually heard this extended version of the story. I just know you didn't get into photography essentially until age 19, and that shit's hilarious to me because like to put it into perspective, like I was playing basketball this morning. I'm at the crib, and no cap, I hit like 80% of my shots, bro. I was on fire this morning. Shit was crazy.
Rayvon Durant.
And I'm sitting here thinking like, damn, like if I really like put focus and pride into this every day, like maybe I could hit the NBA, but it's too late for me. And so for you to hop into the game at 19, like I remember being like 17, 18, like trying to get into like certain industries and being like, yo, if you don't like pop off in this shit by like age 20, bro, it's over for you. You know what I mean? Especially at that time when like a lot of like younger people were coming up too. And it was like, yo, you're seeing all these young people or people in your age range having amazing success, and you're like, fuck, it's already too late for me. So to hear you come into it at 19 and like pretty much like have this stronghold where you are now is like rather impressive.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciated that. I think even with like photo, it's like sometimes like I'll get guilty of it where like I'll see like a certain magazine cover and like, oh, like this person's like youngest person ever to photograph for like Vanity Fair or Vogue, and like they might be like 22 or 23, and it's like I always have to keep in mind in context like, oh, even if someone's shooting that for like a big brand or like publication, they're like the 0.00001% of like people who will ever do that. You know what I mean? Where like even for me, I'm 28 and like I'm still looked at as like an infant in like photo industry, you know, where like there's so much like money involved and like fine margins, where like I think even for me starting off at 19 at first, I felt discouraged because I was like, oh, like I see somebody shooting for like Fade or ID and like they're only 19 or 20, and it's like they might be like the 1% out of like the millions of people that pick up like a camera. So it's like I shouldn't use them as like a point of reference or like a baseline of like where I should be. I think like for me, just like progressing over the years, I was just like, man, as long as I have fun and like my friends know that I'm having fun taking pictures, that's always what it's always been about. And like I would have dreams, but like they were never in like the forefront when I was making pictures. I was just like, oh, as long as I have stuff I can post online where like people seem like they're excited and I'm having fun about it, like that was always like the main intention.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
I mean, Rayvon, you also did pick up podcasting pretty late, so you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like
And
he's
you doing
a, he's a
amazing,
pick up
you know?
stuff. You know what I'm saying? Come on now, it's never too late for that. You
These
know.
guys just make me rant.
All right, so we see where the beginning is. What has been like, you know, your favorite moment that you've had while just doing what you've been doing?
Man, I honestly, I think my favorite moment is just like now, like especially like the past like 6 to 9 months where I'm like able to be self-sufficient. Like parents ask me for stuff, I can like afford it financially, you know, where like I can buy my parents nice stuff on their birthdays or like anniversary days or like Mother's Day, Father's Day. I can be like, oh, like mom, don't worry about it. Give them like 500, 600, like no hesitation. Like that's been like the coolest thing. But like as far as like what I feel personally from like what I've shot, I think like the coolest thing I did was like that like campaign for City of Worcester for like COVID-19, because like I think traditionally like whenever they do campaigns in like the City of Worcester, it's like super tame and like a little bit like conservative. So like for them to give me like full like autonomy of like how I wanted to shoot it and like who we were shooting and like where we were gonna shoot, and like that to be like on like billboards and buses, like that was like the coolest thing for me, because I'm like, wow, like lived in Worcester my whole life, still live in Worcester, and like for me to do like a campaign in like my hometown, like that felt like the coolest thing for me.
That's fire. That's fire. It made me think about this Drake line. You was talking about how everybody takes pictures and goes on trips just so they can bring it back to their friends back at home and shit. So I just thought about that shit. But no, I mean, it's funny because I feel like most people would have been like stuff that you did with like Converse and stuff would probably be like what you would think would be the coolest thing,
Or like, yeah, what we would think.
You know what I'm saying? What we would think would be the coolest thing, but you know, like what you actually deem to be the coolest thing is like stuff that you did to, you know, for the people back at home and stuff like that.
And like I think like even like the Converse stuff and like bodega stuff, like that stuff is like it's special to me. Like it's cool. I just think like with like the campaign for City of Worcester, like that was like one of like the first times where I was like, oh man, I'm actually like telling like important stories, and it's not just like vanity stuff where like I'm selling products, you know. Even though like I do appreciate that side of like art and like photography, I feel like for this I was like, oh, this is stuff like you like bring with me to like the grave, you know, where I'm like, oh, even if like one person chose to get vaccinated or like be more health conscious, like they're doing that because like they started a campaign that I worked on, you know. So like that felt like super special, where like I was like, oh man, like my photos do have impact besides like likes and like reshares and like surface level like validation, you know.
Oh, word.
No, yeah, bro, you touched like the roots of your own city, bro. Like I can imagine being a kid on the city bus and then like growing up and like your picture is on that same bus you used to ride around the town, bro. Like that shit's pretty surreal.
Like literally like neighborhoods that were like not really shown in like media, you know, were like on billboards and on the bus, and like no matter who you were in the city, or even if you were like a guest coming into the city, like you had to see it when you drive by, you know. Like even like down the street from where we are in Major Bloom, like the billboard is up for like 4 months, and like you're seeing like black and brown, like young and old people, like front and center, you know? So like it felt good to like help in that type of process where like, oh, like I'm amplifying voices, not just myself, you know?
Putting on for the people. Hell yeah, bro.
All right, so you've done that, which is obviously amazing. How has it been, you know, around the city? Do you feel like people have changed their, you know, I don't know how to say, how's the energy been now that people know you for what you do now?
I think for the most part, it's like 90% like good, you know? Or like I feel like people will see me and it's like, I feel like the support and like the love, you know? Where like I think like people are like rooting for me because it's like all new frontier, you know? Like I think if like Worcester was like in New York or LA, where it's like more commonplace, like I think my friends would be happy, but like the general public, like, oh, okay, like it's whatever, like that's the norm, like that's what people do here. But like for me to be doing like some of the stuff that I'm doing and like still live in Worcester, like I feel like some people like kind of like take it upon themselves to like give me extra support or like shield me from like any hate that would come my way, because it's like, oh, they know how hard it is to like make artwork here, you know?
No, I tell people all the time, actually, I'm like, one, knowing George so much isn't like super cool anymore. Like everybody knows George, and that's a good thing in a way. Like that's a great thing to be like, yo, like the city of Worcester loves and respects and fucks with George. Like me and Emily were in the back talking about it, and we're like, yeah, like if you know George or you have any problems with George, like I'll fight you. Like take it up with me. Like, how do you have a problem with this nigga, bro? Like it's always love, it's always positive vibes whenever we see this man's.
Like, man, that shit, like, it hasn't even set in, really. Like, I'm always like, damn, you know what I mean? Like, people rock with me like that, which, like, it always makes me feel, like, over the moon. Like, I think, like, even being from Worcester, like, I think people give me the space, too, to, like, experiment and learn and grow and, like, keep me, like, accountable, you know, where, like, it makes me feel grounded, where, like, I feel like for the most part, like, I haven't had, like, people come up to be like, oh, like, you're Hollywood or you're this, you know, like, they so treat me like regular George, like, they would have known from, like, middle school, high school, elementary school, where like it gives me a chance to like grow into myself, into like adulthood, manhood, and like grow as an artist, where like I even feel like it's just the beginning, you know, where like some people might list off what I've shot and be like, oh, like this is amazing. And like for me, like I get excited because I'm like, I know that this isn't going to be the end of like what I do, you know, where like I hope when I'm like 38 or 48, I'm like making stuff in like different industries where like stuff where like me and you might not even know what I'm gonna photograph next, but like it's stuff that's like worthwhile and feels good. So like I'm happy that like I have like good friendship and kinship in Worcester, where like they can kind of like let me grow at my own pace and like support me.
Yeah. I mean, you did talk about the 90% of love. How have you handled the 10% of hate?
I think for the hate, it's almost like it comes with the territory, where like I think at first I used to get like a little bit bummed and depressed because like it would be like some faces I wouldn't even expect to show like that type of energy. But now it's like I almost kind of feel like when like LeBron went to the Heat and he was kind of like in like the villain mode, you know, where like it's almost like if you're making anything that's worthwhile, like of course like not 100% of people are gonna like it, you know, because then even if like 100% of people say they like it, they might be lying to you, you know, where like now I'm learning to like embrace like criticism and feedback, and even like from what hate I do get, depending on who the person is, I know what to hold in and what to like ignore, you know. Like if it's somebody with like an art photo background and like they give me a critique, depending on what they say, that might hold more weight to me than like some regular person who doesn't have any like art background, you know. So like I think with the hate, I'm just learning to be like, oh, like comes with the territory of like making artwork for public consumption, and like it's stuff where like they might not know the full story of George, so it's like I can't take it to heart, you know. I just gotta like roll it off and like just be focused on trying to make like the next best thing, you know.
Sure. Shout out to Dave Chappelle on the Play Haters Ball. Hey. That's dope though. I mean, we've seen a lot of stuff. I mean, honestly, coincidentally enough, you've done a photo for us before. I don't even know if you remember.
I remember.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You did a photo for one of our earlier podcasts. It was on the Influence podcast before we had 2 week notice. Beautiful picture, by the way. It was beautiful. We honestly just was like, we're gonna just do something random, and he just helped us out. So, I mean, that's probably one of my favorite works from you. But it's biased right there myself.
It counts.
You know what I'm saying? It still counts. So you guys are doing this is a kind of like a I don't want to say a coalition or a group of people with the Electric Haze. How'd you guys get involved with that?
So I think with like Chris, I cannot say his last name, so I'm not even gonna attempt. I'll butcher it. But like Chris, he would just like have like a bunch of mutuals in the city, so like that's how me and him cross paths. And then like I have like all of my friends at like El Salon, big giant collective of like artists and individuals from the city and like outside the city. So like we were always trying to like find space to do events. And like Chris at Electric Haze, he was like gracious enough to like give us this platform and the space to like do our own thing without any like restrictions really. And like it was dope because like I think sometimes like as an artist trying to find space to like either show up work or like throw events or throw functions, like there's a lot of like obstacles and hurdles that make sometimes like, yo, I don't know if I can do this, like you might want to give up, you know. So like for Chris and like Electric Haze to like extend like their arms and like let us do stuff, you know, like made me feel really good. It made like my friends at El Salon really good. Shout out to them, by the way, love y'all. But like yeah, like so like even like with this table and like the whole setup, like we're able to do a show back in May, Glory Days, and like that was like a personal project that I was working on, which was like felt like a big relief to finally get out. And
I knew you'd been working on that for years, bro.
So like yo, from when we first met, like 2016, 2015 to like now 2022, like it's been that long. So like at first it was just supposed to be like a zine. And like with grant money, it was able to turn into something way bigger than what I imagined. And Electric Haze and Chris and all those people out there were like super like gracious enough to like let me like print up artwork and like make it into like a whole like party type setting, you know?
And shout out to the Electric Haze for that too, because we've been doing that. Well, they've been doing. I say we because Major Bloom sponsors these events with Chris.
Thank you, Major Bloom.
No, so that's. I mean, every month we'll actually have like a different artist come through and like do an interview with us. We've actually got you on the show late, bro. Your show is back in May. We should have got you on in May, but yeah, that's the whole point of just like putting on for the local, like I mean, the city of Worcester, like you said, bro, and like for the artists and people here, like being able to all connect at this spot once a month and like just have a platform for your place is extremely important because it's so hard to get yourself out there, bro.
It's so hard. And like I feel like even for me, I might be like the exception. I always feel like it's cool to do stuff in your hometown. Like yeah, I can go to like other places like the New Yorks or the LAs, but like I'll still feel like emptiness because like I'm not from there. That's not where I grew up. That's not where I have all my fondest memories. That's not where all my friends are from. So like I'm from Worcester. So like anytime I get a chance to do something like home, like that to me feels like the coolest thing, especially because like Worcester's not considered like an artist hotbed, even though there's so many talented individuals. So like for me, I almost like wear it as like a badge of honor to be like, oh, like I did a solo show in Worcester. I did X, Y, and Z in Worcester. Like that for me feels like super cool because it's like, oh, it's my hometown. And like I hope if like people see like the podcast or like my artwork, I hope like they get the feeling, oh, no matter where I'm from, I can like make work and like where I'm from. Like even if they're from like Oxford or Sturbridge or like any town in like Massachusetts, like I hope they feel like the same pride that I show in Worcester and like make stuff for like their own area and their own neighborhood.
Word. So I mean, I feel like. I mean, first off, I just want to give everyone a applause for just even doing this in the first place. I know you wasn't too keen in general, you know, but you're talking to the homies, so it's a little bit different.
The homies, so I feel good. I can keep going. I feel good.
You know what I'm saying?
You scheduled this like 3 days ago.
Nah, it's all good. Like, I keep going. Any questions y'all got?
So,
I'm ready.
Like I told Ray Vaughn, I know Ray Vaughn has had a similar feeling about podcasting as how you felt about it. And I told him, like, yo, once you talk to people that you feel comfortable with, honestly, it kind of gets a little addicting. Like, you just be talking all day and...
No, I just go on these rants now, and I'm so comfortable with doing it because I've been doing it for, like, a few months now. And it's just like, if y'all really going to listen to me, here I go. Like, hear these unfiltered-ass thoughts, bro. Like...
So, for me, what are some things that, you know, you want to share with the people that you know, if it, like... Anything that you have that you feel like you want to share with them, if it's project, if it's just something inspirational, whatever you feel, what is something you want to feel with the, you know, share with the audience?
That's a good question. I would just say, like, with all the chaos going on in the world, I think probably the biggest thing is like make sure that your mental's good, you know? It's like even like being on social media or like watching the news, like that shit gets depressing, you know, like seeing like different world events, different like incidents and whatnot. So I would just say like, oh, try your best to keep your mental good, find people close around you that like you can like vent to and like have a laugh or a cry with, and like keep them like close knit. You know what I mean? So like I would say just like try your best each day to like have like a good head on your shoulder, and like even if you do slip up, know that there's people there to like lift you up. And then on the projects note, I can't speak on one project. I have some stuff coming out with like Crocs literally like tomorrow.
Oh, word.
So like that's like exciting. That's fun because it's like super random. I did a shoot for Crocs and we did it in upstate New York and then Sutton, Massachusetts, which is like really random, but like cool because it's like, oh, I get to do more work in Central Mass. So like I could talk about that. That was really fun. Comes out tomorrow, June 28th. Cop a pair of Crocs. Shout out to all the people I got to work with for that. And yeah.
Fire.
Well, I actually kind of have a specific question kind of around what you just said in a way. And it's like, and you kind of sort of already answered it, but you might have a different answer. How do you get yourself out of a creative rut if you necessarily ever feel one? And do you, as a photographer, I guess I'll just let you speak on it. Like, how do you feel about creative ruts if you come across them?
Oh, I come across them all the time. Like, I feel like it's almost like inevitable to come across like a creative rut. You know what I mean? Because like, especially if you want to make like work that you feel like joy and excitement, like in due time, like you'll feel like either a burnout period or like, oh, like I can't think of like ideas. So like, I know for me, I really enjoy being outside, like just going on walks, and like it doesn't even matter where I'm walking to. I can go to like the grocery store, the park, or like anywhere. And like I just like to be like in like fresh air, or like even just seeing like my homies, whether it's like the group that I'm with usually, or like just random acquaintances, or just anybody. Like I feel like if I'm around people, I can feed off like people's energy, and like it can be like a person on the street that I've never seen before, or somebody I've known for like a decade plus, and like I can take bits and pieces of like inspiration of like, oh, maybe they might have said something or worn something or did something that'll be like, maybe I should try to incorporate that in like photo, or like if I don't use it in a photo, it might just have like my way of thinking be like tweaked in a way to where I'm like, oh, I should try doing this, you know?
Right. I did have a question as well that I don't want to say it's a follow-up, but it kind of goes with it. And you can answer however you want. How has Virgil, you know, a fellow Ghanaian as well, artist as well, how has he influenced you in general? You know, rest in peace. Obviously.
Rest in peace, Virgil.
Hell yeah.
Man, it's crazy because even with like Virgil, like I think he came out the cut so fire with like the Nike stuff and all that, and then like I think I just got like fatigued on Virgil at first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you good.
So like I think at first I kind of felt like fatigued with like Virgil because I was like, yo, the output was just so much.
Yeah.
And like I think it was also due to like just like youth and like naivety, where I was like, yo, I didn't understand fully what he was doing. And then like luckily I was able to have like that like reconcile period before he passed, where I was like, no, like Virgil's really like one of one, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like I think for him as like fellow Ghanaian American, I think like he just always had like the intuition and like the self-belief that like whatever he was doing was gonna work out. Because like, you know, Ghanaian parents like, oh, like be a lawyer, be a doctor, educator. So like pursuing the creative arts, it's almost seen as like, yo, what are you doing? Like you're wasting your future, you're wasting your life, you know? Yeah. And like I know even for me, like photo, like yeah, I knew as I was getting older, like, you know, 22, 23, 24, I was like starting to feel like at a place compared to my peers, because you know they're all working 9 to 5s and salaries, and like me, I'm still playing like the long game, trying to catch up. And like I think seeing Virgil go through all his hardships, especially now knowing like the type of cancer he had and whatnot, to like put forth that output and like bring in all of his peers and friends and community to like work on stuff, like I think that's stuff that like I use with me to this day, where like even if it's friends that aren't necessarily like art versed or like have like expertise in photo, I'll ask my peoples for like input on stuff, and like if they have an idea, I'm like, all right, so-and-so said this, how can I spin it into like an art way? Or even just having like self-belief. And like I think even with like art, you have to be like a little bit like delusional and like crazy, but not in like a bad way, but like it's almost like on a way where it's like, oh, like as long as you put forth like the groundwork and foundational work, like you know that whatever you're doing, whether it's like photo or DJ or like whatever, you know that it's gonna work out like at the long term, you know.
Damn, yeah. Rest in peace, Aquabina. You know what I'm saying? Virgil, you know, rest in peace for sure. Yeah, Rayvon, anything else here?
Well, no, actually, so like we've done a whole lot of I won't even say friendly talk, but like we've talked a lot about just like your work and shit like that in general, which I love. It's cool.
Thank you.
Now I definitely just want to ask, like, what does George do? Like for fun. So like, you know, George talks about being, you know, from the city, born and raised, and like as a freelancer and all that, like what's a regular day? Like I watch your stories, bro. I know you have a good time. Like where's George going to on the weekend and dancing for the night, bro? Like how do you enjoy yourself?
Man, so it's crazy because like in one element, like anytime I do get to like have a camera in hand, like I am actually having fun where like I don't feel jaded from like artwork or being like full-time freelancer. So it's like I do have fun with that. But if I'm not like on a gig or on assignment, like I just like hanging out with the homies, you know what I'm saying? Where like we could be at a friend's house playing like video games or like listening to music, watching videos and shit, or just being like at like a concert or like a function. Like I feel like I'd be pretty low maintenance. Like as long as I'm with like my peoples, like it almost doesn't matter what we do, you know, as long as I have like companionship from like my friends and like everybody that I like being around. And like I think even like because I do freelance stuff, like a lot of times like who I'm hanging out with like are other artists in different fields. So it's like I might spend a day in Brockton, I'm like with all my homies that make music, or like I'm in Dorchester and like all my friends paint or whatever, and like I'm like going into their worlds and like they're going into mine, and like because like we all freelance and make art, we all kind of like coexist in a way where like our daily thinking is so outside the norm that like when I link up with like other artists, like sometimes we're talking like our own language even though it's in English, you know. So like I don't know, I like being in the mix, like just being out with like people. Like I could be like anywhere, I could be at the park and have fun, or like even like all my homies like in Worcester, like a lot of times we just hang out downtown Worcester. Like we'd skateboard, like we'd fucking dance, we'd like make TikToks, like just goof off, you know? Where like I think even for what I do, like it makes me feel like the youngest 28-year-old. Where like at heart, like I still feel like I'm in like my teenage years, you know, where like I'm just goofing off and I'm feeling free and I'm like just vibing, you know?
No, that's fair. It's always hilarious whenever I hear you say your age, bro. And even to just hear you say it right now, like I didn't even know you were 28. I mean, I know you're a few years older than me, but like I won't say treat you like it, but like we're on the same playing field enough. Not, it's weird to say. The vibes are always there when we talk. Like, you know what I mean? Like you've got such like a youthful spirit to you that it doesn't come off as like, I mean, same with these guys that I work with as well. And that's like, I mean, a compliment in a way, I guess.
Yeah, I don't feel as immature now that I'm with all you guys, because I mean, I am 29 years old.
Hey man, we Asian good,
You know
black
what I'm
on
saying?
crack.
But
You
that's
know
what I'm saying. But
saying?
I'm still looking good, so no, I ain't mad at it at all, brother.
Like it's crazy. I feel like even for like making art, like I feel like you have to have that mindset, you know? Like even like from when it comes down to like working on sets, you know, like I feel like even the reason why like now I'm getting gigs and it's like rolling, and it's like I feel like just like word of mouth where people are like, oh, like I know that George kid, like he's a nice kid, like he's laughing, upbeat, you know, good mood, where it's like, oh, like if I'm on set and it's like 2 12-hour days, you don't want to work with someone who's like a dickhead and like has like bad vibes. Like you want to work with someone that's like, yo, even if it's like hard work that we're doing, if I know that this person's gonna be like upbeat no matter what, smiling and like just overall like room lifter, you know, like I feel like that makes art so much more enjoyable. Because like I've heard horror stories where like people have been like kind of like unpleasant, and like who knows, they might have had like a rough day or whatever, or that might just be like who they are naturally. And it's like, it's stuff where like, oh, that can like derail a whole project, and like with all the money and margins that go into it, it's like very fine margins, you know? Where like I think even like for me, if people ask me like, oh, like how'd you get like work with this brand or that brand, I think it's like half of it's like talent, but I think more so it's just like, oh, like relationship building, and like if people can vouch for me and be like, yo, like he's a good kid, I know he's gonna work hard and like put his best foot forward. I feel like sometimes like that outweighs like whatever talent a person might have, because like there's so many artists, and like I feel like even for me, like if someone brings my name up in like a room, like art wise, right, like I might not be the best artist, but like I know what else I can bring to the table. And like I feel like even like if there is an artist who like makes better artwork photo wise, I know it's not going to be by like a big margin, that like I know like all the other stuff I bring as like a person might help me get like a certain gig, you know?
Word.
Well rounded.
Word. Well, I have only one last question. My last question is there a Mrs. Koolaid George?
There's no Mrs. Koolaid. Yeah, I don't know. There's no Mrs. Koolaid. I mean, like.
And what do you look? Are you looking for someone that's creative? Or are you looking for someone outside the space? Just for the ladies that's listening, you know what I'm saying? Because
that's not, and that's a serious like real topic
Yeah.
too, by the way, for like just like creatives in general. Like, do you date within the industry, or do you go date like a non-creative person? Maybe not even non-creative, but like in the space, because everyone's you know what I mean, we're all creative in our own way. But
I think for me currently, I would prefer someone that's in like a creative space. Like she doesn't even have to do like photography, but like just someone that understands how like my thought pattern works and like how my brain processes things. Because like I feel like I've like talked to girls who like weren't necessarily like creative or like did creative jobs, and like it kind of felt like unfair to the girl, because like my brain would be thinking about like one thing and she's on like a whole nother wavelength, and like I can get mad at her when it's like that's not the world that she operates in. So like it kind of felt like, even though like we're both on planet Earth, like because I'm always doing art and I'm thinking about art, and like she's on her thing, like maybe 9 to 5 or whatever she was doing, it's like, oh, like there'd be like certain convos where like, oh, no matter how hard I tried, it's like it'd be like a disconnect. Or like even just like simple things like hobbies, it's like, all right, after like surface level, like, oh, I find her attractive, or she finds me attractive, or like we laugh a lot, there was like sometimes where like even like small talk would be like hard to get into. So like I think me at this current stage, I probably need someone that does like creative work, or is like at least like creative like adjacent, like even if she does like 9 to 5, like she knows how like a creative brain works and functions and operates.
Word. Well, I mean, I don't know if you have anything else.
no, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I mean, it sounds like despite having a few jitters prior to, George will be back.
No.
Yes, I'll definitely be back.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll be back. Please have me back.
We're gonna have a much more in-depth episode after this, for you know what I'm saying, for sure. But
We're gonna have him on the whole time.
Yes, let me get him on the
I can handle that. I can handle that.
Word. Let me get your round of applause in here. You know what I'm saying? Come on now. Yeah, man. Good looks for coming. You know what I'm saying? Good looks for coming.
Sir.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is the we about to change the name a little bit. This is For the Record with Wiz and the Wild Card.
That's such a good name, bro. Like, that really is.
You know what I'm saying? So
I almost said Joker, but I was like, yo, no copyright infringement.
we appreciate you. Thank you, and have a great day, guys.